Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the RacingBet Preview, brought to you live. We are Friday, currently 4:30 WA time, 7:30 over in the east. Billy, day one of the championships at Royal Randwick, 4 Group 1s. We've got the ATC Sires Produce, the Australian Derby, TJ Smith Stakes and Doncaster Mile. And Racing in Victoria heads to Bendigo this week, where we've got, well, you've got plenty on your agenda over there, the Gold Rush, the Gold Bracelet, the St. Ledger Trial, you've got the Bendigo Guineas, and the Golden Mile as well. As always, we're brought to you by Moneyball.com.au. So if you are having a punt on day one of the championships tomorrow, make sure you visit our friends at Moneyball.com.au and help support our site. Billy, how's things over there in Sydney?
Yeah, going good over here, Tim. Thanks for having me again. Obviously, it's still been raining again this week. Shock. So looks to be racing on a heavy track with those 4 Group 1s in Sydney yet again. But hopefully we can find a few winners at Bendigo and Randwick.
Yeah, it seems this time of year in Sydney all the time, it just absolutely pisses down with rain. So I can't remember the last time we had a carnival over there on firm ground, but seems to be the staple every year. But you should be on firm ground over there in Melbourne at Bendigo, or in Victoria, I should say.
Yep. Good 4 at Bendigo, fine weather, rail in the true. So Victoria's sort of doing its bit with the good tracks and good weather at the moment. So hopefully we can find a few winners there.
If you are tuning in live at the moment, we appreciate your company. And if you're watching this back on replay at some later stage, we also appreciate you supporting us. Make sure if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, you like our page, subscribe to our page so you get everything as soon as it comes out. And like I said, every little bit helps us. So, Billy, we'll be taking a look at your best bets at Bendigo, and then we'll be firing away into the 4 Group 1s at Randwick. So we might as well start off with you in Victoria, because there's plenty to get through on this week's episode and we don't want to waste much time. So your best bet at Bendigo, you're going to wait till the lucky last. It's going to come up in race number 9. You're with horse number 3, Corner Pocket, currently best priced at $3.10 at Moneyball.
Yep. So I'm with Corner Pocket, who's turned into a bit of a winning machine for Lindsay Smith, and he's been a bit of a punter's pal. So he comes out of that Blamey Stakes, which has turned into a pretty strong form race. Obviously, Zaki's come out on the All-Star Mile. Pondus finished back in the field. He's come out and bolted in. Then you've got, obviously, Inspirational Girls run well again since. Mr. Brightside's run well. So, yeah, it's turned out to be a pretty good form race. You see Corner Pocket puts himself up on speed. He sort of just out-sprinted in the last couple hundred here, but this is over the mile, and he's back to 1,400, which is probably the key for him. I think he's much better 1,400 horse. He's undefeated over this trip from 4 goes. Third up now. He's undefeated from 2 starts, third up. I assume Lindsay Smith's going to have him primed for this. Gets a little bit of weight relief with the Apprentice Claim, and he just puts himself in a winnable position all the time, and I think it'd be hard to beat.
That's race number 9, horse number 3, Corner Pocket. Now, for those who tuned in last week, I apologise because my internet was absolutely rubbish, evidently, when I'm watching the replay. But hopefully it's a little bit smoother sailing this time around. Billy, your best value bet on the card is going to come up early on in the day. You're making it horse number 17 in race number 2, this is. Vitruvius, currently $16.
Yeah, so I found this is obviously outside of Stretto, who was a dominant winner last start. It was pretty open, and I think there's a bit of value in the race. Obviously, Vitruvius is resuming. He won first up last prep over this track trip. He's had 3 starts fresh, 1 win, and 2 thirds. So he's obviously a good fresh horse, and they've actually thrown the blinkers on here first up. So I think he's ready to run a race. And he's had 7 starts, 2 wins, 3 thirds. So he's pretty rock solid. Sort of $15. You can play that each way, and I think he's going to give you a good sight. So that's race 2, number 17, Vitruvius.
Beautiful. That'll do us for Bendigo. Any other thoughts on the card quickly before we move over to Randwick?
Not really. It looks a tricky little card, but I think there's a few good bets later in the day. So I'll have my full preview up on the website later tonight.
Beautiful. 4 Group 1s on the card at Randwick. Like I said, we've got the Sires Produce, the first of them in race number 6 over 1,400 metres. We've then got the Derby, the TJ and the Doncaster. But we'll start with the Sires Produce. For me, I'll be interested to get your thoughts here, because for me, there's really only 3 horses in this race that I'm keen to discuss, or that I think are genuine winning chances, and those being obviously the favourite horse number 12, Fireburn. It's now into odds on, or hovering around even money there after its Golden Slipper win. I thought She's Extreme was the other one out of the Golden Slipper that you could take into consideration. And I thought of the boys, the value probably was with Magic at around $19 currently. So this is the Golden Slipper we're speaking about. If I can bring it up on screen, you can see Fireburn back on the rail here, about 3 back in the red, the Rebel Dane colours. Getting up on the fence here, this is just a terrific win. And as soon as the track got into this sort of heavy range, there were plenty of people that were keen on her. And you can see why here, just exploding her way through to win by 2.5 lengths. Look, a repeat of that performance would see her very, very hard to beat in the size. Stepping up to 1,400 metres doesn't look any problem at all. Can anything beat her in your eyes?
Yeah, I think she's going to be pretty hard to beat. Obviously, it's hard for horses winning that Golden Slipper and coming out and performing again. We've seen that time and time again, but she's going to get conditioned here. She's going to get a nice run from gate 6. She looks ready for 1,400 metres by all reports. Gary Portelli's pretty confident that 1,400 is going to be no issues for her. The other one that I wanted to make mention of was the Victorian Visitor, Let's Roll the Dice. So this horse, he's undefeated from 2 starts. He bolted in on a real heavy track at Bendigo by about 3 or 4 lengths. So I don't think the track's going to worry him. Then he went and won the Sires at Flemington. And that was a pretty strong win there, sort of pulling away from it at the end. So he's proven at 1,400. I think barrier 7, Damien Lane jumps on. He's going to get through the ground, and he can run a race for mine as well.
Always interesting lining up that Victorian form in the good races over in Sydney. I think she's just awfully hard to beat, and the wetter this track gets, it's really hard to see anything beating her. I suppose the main query with 2-year-olds always is when's enough. She's obviously gone to the Golden Slipper as her grand final. She won that so well, and it's obviously logical next step to step up to the size. But he was even talking about getting to a Champagne Stakes with this horse over 1,600 metres. So clearly he thinks, or the stable think, there's a fair bit left in the tank. And like I said, if she turns up, like perfect draw barrier 6, if she turns up and repeats what she did in the Slipper, I highly doubt anything will be beating her here. I think she's probably one of the best bets on the card at even money. Wouldn't be surprised to see the pundits come for her and start shorter. Like I said, horse number 13, She's Extreme, a little bit of value. Pretty well luckless in that Golden Slipper. You only have to look back 3 starts ago in the Sweet Embrace Stakes, and she was beaten 3/4 of a length by Fireburn. So she can definitely run a race. And Magic, like I said, he started, a pretty firm favourite last start in the Pago. His first up run on debut in the Silver Slipper behind Best of Bordeaux was just enormous. And I remember tweeting after that race, like, Magic has the size written all over him. So sort of grand final stable here. I'm sure they would have had him ready to go for this. Would not be surprised, and I wouldn't be leaving him out of my numbers at $19. I think it's a bit of a silly price, and probably the best value in the race, and potentially the best of the boys there for me. So that's a little bit of a look at the size produce. Let's move on to the second Group 1 on the card. This is the Australian Derby over 2,400 metres. A few different angles in this race, Billy. We've got a few, right at the top of the market there, you've got Hitotsu coming off a first-up win in the Australian Guineas at Flemington. He's obviously untested on heavy ground, but he couldn't have been more impressive in that race first up. Give us your view on how he might line up here.
Yeah, so obviously Hitotsu, that was a freakish win first up over 1,600. My concern with him is that was a pretty fast run race. So I don't know how much that's taken out of him. He goes straight up to 2,400 here on a bottomless deck. So that's got to be some sort of knock for him. Obviously he's just a freak, so it wouldn't shock me to see him come out and run well, but I'm probably looking at playing around him at the moment. There's a couple that sort of caught my eye. Obviously, a few of them ran on Monday at Newcastle. And that being Character, who won the Tulloch. I think he's just getting better. So I think he's going to run well, stepping up to 2,400 here. That was a perfect sort of lead-in race. And then you got Regal Lion. It was pretty hard to miss what he did in that race on Monday from the back.
Enormous.
Yeah. So.
And I tipped him and backed him at $21, and he did this.
Yes, you did.
And didn't have anything on the place. Even better.
So obviously that was a huge run. And you got Benno there as well as the other horse that wanted to follow. He's actually run home a touch quicker last 600 than Regal Lion. So that's the sort of race that I wanted to follow into here. So I'll probably be playing around those three horses.
Yep, completely agree. It's impossible for me to jump off Regal Lion after backing him in the Tulloch, like you said. You'd have to have your eyes painted on to miss the run for second, and he's just out of the stable who knows how to win this race. Murray Baker, just an old, he's an old marvel at getting these horses over for the Derby. And like I said, I was keen on him at 20-1 in that Tulloch because the stable has brought him over and won that race leading into a Derby previously. Yeah, his effort was enormous. Look, he's had two goes on heavy ground and hasn't placed in either, but I'm not too perturbed by that. I just think he's absolutely flying. You know, he ran really well in that New Zealand Derby over 2,400, so we know he'll get the trip. He can't have run any better in that Tulloch, and I think he's still around $7 or something. So that sort of price in this race, which they've clearly brought him over for, I definitely have to butter up on him again. Terrified of Hitotsu, who goes 1,600 to 2,400, like you alluded to, but he did this when he won the VRC Derby over 2,500 metres last prep. Just a terrifying colt he is. I thought the stablemate can't go wrong at around 20-1. Jamie Carr booked to ride. I thought he was just chipping away nicely. He's still a colt. I thought his run in the Autumn Classic at Caulfield was okay, and I thought his run in the Alistair Clark at the Valley was good. Up to 2,400 metres, I wouldn't be surprised to see him run a really good race here, like I said, at around 20-1. And agree with your sentiments about Benno there coming out of the Tulloch where he ran fourth. Better figures than Regal Lion on the day has to be included. So, yeah, they're the four runners for me. Main selection for me, I have to stick with Regal Lion in the Derby. Let's move on to the TJ now. This is a fascinating race. What do we do here? Well, I'll kick things off and then I'll handball to you. But I'm really keen, and I'm not often, but I'm really keen on Nature Strip here to bounce back.
Yep.
This just kind of, it reminds me of, it could have been, I can't remember at what stage of last preparation, but me and Trent, back when Trent used to be on the show, we'd always joke about Nature Strip because Trent every single time would tip Nature Strip. And I struggled to kind of catch him, and I wouldn't really want to go chips in on him very often. But there was one occasion, and I don't know if it was this race last year or whatever it was, but there was one occasion, a very similar setup to this, which I think I made him my best bet of the day and was chips in, and he won accordingly. And I just get the similar sort of feeling here. First up running the Lightning, was enormous. Obviously, well publicised what happened at the start, and to go down by a nose to Home Affairs was a terrific effort. Last start, he just was not at his best in the Challenge Stakes. This is it, 4-horse field. He was very, very, much below his best. But it's not the first time second up from a spell that we've seen him do this. He's done it more than 2 or 3 times now. So what he can do, though, is come out third up from a spell and really bounce back in his grand finals. He's had 8 starts third up for 6 wins, which is just incredible. The stable are kind of talking about how he may not be best suited on a really rain-affected ground, but I think that's a bit of rubbish. Look, I'm keen to butter up on him again. Grand final before they potentially look to tackle Europe with him. Like I said, that third up record, he just time and time again off those little setbacks second up has proven the ability to bounce back. And I just think if he shows up at his best, which I think he will, I think he'll win. Your thoughts?
Yep, I'm in Camp Nature Strip, and I'm pretty keen. I think we're getting a pretty good price about him here. With that last start run, I think staying at 1,000 meters was something that probably didn't help him either. I think 1,200 now, third up, like you said, they're big ticks for Nature Strip, and Waller's going to have him sort of
cherry
ready
ripe
to pick here. Like, he's going to be cherry ripe, and you can get anywhere around $3. That looks a pretty good bet to me. So yeah, I'm pretty keen on Nature Strip. What do we do with our mate Shelby 66?
Well, what do you do with Shelby 66? Like that replay I just showed, and I'll throw it on again. This is obviously when Shelby 66 took the world by storm, basically, and really ran a terrific race in the Challenge Stakes, getting within a nose, basically, of Eduardo. And this was kind of like when everyone went, what the hell? And then he backed it up and just did it again and again.
I put this run down as a fluke. I was like, there's no way that you can do that again. And
which can sometimes happen in those small fields, right?
Yeah.
But then he comes out in the Morris McCartan and wins. Then he comes out in the Galaxy and steps up to Group 1 company and wins. This is tougher. Like, he will have to go to a new level once again. Weight for age, Group 1. This is the proper acid test for him. You know, he's not carrying 52.5 here. He's carrying 58.5 against the rest of them. But look, like everything in the last 2 or 3 starts that he's been thrown against him, he's handled and more than handled, you know, absolutely flying. Is the query that the fact that he's not on the 1 week backup this week? Yeah. Don't know. We'll find out. But look, it's impossible to ignore him, but I have to take him on like against the big boys here, weight for age Group 1. I just have to take him on. But it would be quite hilarious if he was to win. But yeah, I agree with you. I reckon anything near $3 is a great bet. Not surprised to see the price already in from about $3 to $2.70. I wouldn't expect him to drift out any further than kind of $2.7. Like, I think if he hits $3, I don't think we'll get a better price than that on the day. Masked Crusader, an interesting one for you? Struggling?
I think he might be gone. I don't know. I've sort of put a pen through him. Yeah, I don't know. This prep's been a bit, I don't know, not at his best. You'd say, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd agree. My only query would be, you know, first up was over 1,000, which is not his go, and then second up was in that weird Newmarket. But struggling to make too many excuses for him. The only thing I would say is grand final stable. Like, you're better at your own peril if you take on horses from this
Newmarket's thrown up September run, so who knows?
We have. And, well, so it's a good segue into the Newmarket winner who also lines up here, Rockin' Horse. What do we do with it? You know?
Yeah.
$17. Was it a fluke, or can she come out and do it again? Listen, another fascinating angle, hey?
Yeah, I think this is the sort of race where you try not to overcomplicate it. And I think Nature Strip's probably the best horse here. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Yep, agree. Completely agree. And when the markets were first out, like I was even thinking probably he'd be my best bet on the card, and he potentially still will be. I think him and Fireburn are the 2 best bets on the card.
Yep.
All right, final Group 1, the Doncaster Mile. This is always a cracking race, big field, good betting market. Where do we start here? I suppose we start with Forbidden Love, who just continues to show up and win. She's had 4 starts this preparation for a second placing over 1,200 in the Expressway, followed by 3 consecutive victories. The last 2 of those at Group 1 level. The first being the Canterbury Stakes, and then this was last start in the George Ryder. All of those 3 victories have been on heavy ground. She's now had 6 starts on heavy ground for 5 wins. Is she just a weighted moral here, 50 kilos on her back?
Yeah, I think she's like, I originally wanted to be against her when I first having a look at the race, just because I was trying to find something to beat her. This simple fact that this is obviously a deeper race. But the more I look, the more I think she's drawn barrier 14, and there's no speed at all in this race, I don't think. So Ellsberg's going to go forward, and I reckon she's got the best jockey on her back to put something into the race. So I think it'll go forward. She'll go forward and park, I don't know, behind Ellsberg, and probably gets a cruisy run up there. And yeah, she's obviously carrying 50 kilos, and she's flying on these heavy tracks, so she's going to be extremely hard to run down. The ones I wanted to make mention. So if he gets a run, I think I'm going to have something on Banker's Choice again.
Ditto.
Yeah, so he drops obviously he drops 9 kilos for this today, or Saturday. So he's obviously charged home that last couple starts, and now down to 50 kilos. He's drawn wide, and he's going to get through the wet. So
This is him on the wide outside, yeah?
Yeah, so you can see it here. Obviously, Forbidden Love wins this race. But I think, Banker's Choice was sort of one that I had circled as a rough chance in this race, just pure fact that obviously he's dropping the weights and he's going to handle the track. So that was one that I wanted to have something on. And he comes out of that Blamey Stakes as well, which I mentioned earlier. So, look, I think Forbidden Love is going to be extremely hard to beat, and I might be having something on Banker's Choice as well.
Yeah, they're definitely two that I've included in my numbers. The others I was interested in. I've been saying all preparation and all along that Lords of Indices is a Doncaster horse. So I can't jump off today. I can't jump off today at 25-1, or Saturday, should I say. He obviously ran third in that George Ryder. Look, whether, he drops 5.5 kilos, Forbidden Love drops 7 kilos. So she's gone straight past him there and now gets him 1.5 kilos better off at the weight. So this is what I mean by her being a weighted moral. But yeah, I've just said all along that Lords of Indices strikes me as the type of horse that they were setting for a Doncaster, and so, he's got better with every single run basically. And now he ends up in a Doncaster drawn well down in the weights. Tommy Berry on for Annabelle Neesham. I just think 25-1, you have to include him in your numbers. Converge is an obvious one to include. He comes out of that Rosehill Guineas behind Animo. Look, he was 7 lengths behind him or something like that. But back down to the mile with no weight on his back, 49.5 kilos. Interesting to see how they ride him, because how often in these Doncasters do you see the lightly weighted 3-year-old just go straight to the front or ridden right up on speed to utilise that lightweight? So interested to see how they ride him, but low draw, Gaybot, you would think that they'd be trying to make use of that good barrier and the lightweight. Definitely he can feature and run a good race here. Agree with your Banker's Choice. And then we get to I'm Thunderstruck. Now, what do we do with him? And I'm going to lean on you here, because he comes out of that All-Star Mile behind Zaki. Before that was good in the Futurity. Before that was sound in the C4 Stakes. But it's been a long, long time since a horse has come from Victoria and been able to win the Doncaster without a lead-up run in Sydney.
Yeah, so I wanted to be with I'm Thunderstruck. I don't know. I love him as a horse. He's just, I don't know, the way his racing pattern's good to watch, and he sort of charges home. But the more I thought about it, the more he always needs so much to go right. And when you consider Forbidden Love probably the main danger, obviously, and he's going to be fairway in front of him in the run, and he always needs the gaps to come at the right stage. And I guess, he won on debut. It might have been on a heavy track, but he certainly hasn't faced a bottomless track for a long time. He's obviously he's peaking at the right time now. That was a good run, very good run in the All-Star Mile behind Zaki. And I have no doubt that the stables got him ready. So, I don't know. I was just sort of slightly against him with how much he needs to go right with the way he races. But, I don't know. He had one run in Sydney. He came and won the Golden Eagle.
Golden Eagle. So, yeah, I think he's a proper horse. Look, he hasn't done much wrong on wet ground, has he? But I'm the same as you. Like, I just can't get past Forbidden Love with 50 kilos. Like, she's won back-to-back Group 1s and drops 7 kilos to carry 50 kilos. She's won 5 out of 6 on heavy ground. Like, what can beat her?
I think Jamie Carr is a big booking for me as well. The way that she sort of gets horses to travel for her, especially when she puts them in the race up near the speed where some jockeys aren't as confident to do that. So I think she's a perfect jockey to ride that horse from that barrier. And it's just going to be.
And she's not killing herself to get to 50 kilos. Like, I think she's been walking around 52 ever since she came back from her suspension. So she said the other day she basically only had a kilo to lose, which is bugger all. So it's not like she's had to waste 4 kilos to get down to 50. Like, she'll be fit and healthy. So good point. All right, so how do we sum it up? For me, I'm really keen for Forbidden Love. I'll definitely be having something on Laws of Indices at 25-1. And I think you're going to have something on Banker's Choice by the sound of it.
Yep. So I'll be main bet Forbidden Love, and Banker's Choice probably the roughie for me.
Beautiful. That rounds out the 4 Group 1s at Randwick, including a couple of our best bets there, which do look hard to beat in the features. Premium Discord group's going well. We had 2 out of 3 winners posted in there yesterday. We had another winner today at Albany from our 2 selections. So we're just chipping away nicely in the Premium Discord group. Of course, if you want to be a part of it, you can check out the Premium Tips page on racingbet.com.au. You get a bunch of extra selections that don't go on the website each week. So hopefully plenty of value for not much cost at all. So if you're keen, even if you want to try it out for a week or so, jump on racingbet.com.au, head to the Premium Tip site. Thanks to Moneyball for their support of this week's show once again. Billy, thanks for your company this week. Best of luck on the weekend. Hopefully we can find a couple of winners.
Yep, thanks for having me, Tim. Good luck to everyone on the punt.
Good luck. See you later, guys.